Real quick, this video is going to be segmented into two different parts. The first part is just going over the history of me collecting and showing off all my old game rooms. If you don't care about any of that, you can skip to this time code. This time code will take you straight to the modern game room tour, which is the one I just shot today. It's of all that stuff, so you guys are really gonna like it. But yeah, the first part of this video is just gonna be talking about the history of me gaming and collecting and all that stuff and showing off all the game rooms I've had over the years. So yeah, enjoy guys. Video games, collecting them, buying them, anything but trading them. Do I look like I make a profit off of my hobby? Do I? Gaming, to me at least, has always been a super fulfilling thing to do in my off time, but the digital pixels on the screen are only half the story. Where would video games be without plastic? You can't make them out of bread. I've been collecting games for around 8 or 9 years now, ever since I was a teenager, and I'm finally to a point where I'm pretty proud of the potential fire hazard in my basement. But before we look at all this, I want to take a moment to reflect on my game rooms that I've lost throughout the years. My first quote-unquote game room was literally just a drawer full of NES games and a shitty CRT. I know, lock up your wives, the elite gamer is here. The second house I ever lived in was the very first one where I was allowed to display my video game collection in my room instead of just keeping it in a dark drawer. So how appropriate is it that the very first time I was allowed to show off my collection was in a dark room where you could barely make anything out? I think this was back in 2013, it could have been late 2012. I was a decent way through high school, so I just spent my disposable income on all things gamey. Back then, my entire collection only consisted of NES, PS1, and PS2 games, and even then, only like 10 maximum per console. I had a Wii as well, but it was located at my dad's house, so I wasn't able to display my Wii games in my main bedroom, but don't worry, I was able to play Family Feud on the Wii, I'm glad you asked. I had a couple oddball titles at the time, a couple loose Game Boy games, and Arnold Palmer's Tournament Golf for the Sega Genesis. Does that mean I owned a Sega Genesis at the time? No, I just owned Arnold Palmer's Tournament Golf, but I did pick up a Super Nintendo. It wasn't able to play Arnold Palmer's Tournament Golf, it was such a waste. When I moved into my next house, that's when things started to get a little better. I no longer had to jam all of my games into a closet, I was given an entire basement to basically do what I wanted. I had tons of games and consoles and spiders the size of nickels, it was terrifying, but it was a nice little slice of heaven for me. I had a nice womb-shaped chair and everything. This was around the time that my game collection really started to expand. I picked up a Sega Genesis so I could try Arnold Palmer's Tournament Golf finally, and I also picked up the Sonic games, and that's around the time that Sonic consumed my entire existence and my YouTube channel. Let's face it, if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel now, it's probably because of Guitar Hero, Call of Duty, or Sonic. This was around the time I finally picked up a PS3 as well, which was the first next-gen quote-unquote console that I had. Yes, technically I had a Wii, but that had the graphical power of a saltine cracker, so I think the PlayStation 3 was my first step into the next generation. But this game room wasn't even its final form, because my next house, that's where things started to get even better. Anyone remember this purgatory? During my senior year of high school, I had to move into yet another house in another town, and because of that, I finally got to experience what a finished basement was like. This was my most spacious game room. I was able to ramp up collecting tenfold. I had a bar that I put against the wall backwards and an old TV on top of it that had all the consoles underneath it. Across from that was an Atlantic Media shelf stacked with my entire game collection. It was a nice little setup, and it gave me plenty of room for expansion. I even had a Street Fighter machine I restored. That was a really nice little project. Out of all my game room setups, this is probably still my favorite. This was also the room that a lot of my older gaming videos were filmed in. The Guitar Hero retrospective, the Jotex videos, tons of my content was shot here. I was really comfortable with this room. It was a really nice, relaxing atmosphere for 14 months until I had to move again, Jesus Christ. That brings us to the bar, the second one. I swear I'm not an alcoholic. Yes, the next game room I expanded into was again in a basement and again consisted of a bar. I loved it. I put a TV on top of it and put the consoles on the shelves. I absolutely hated it. I got rid of it 10 months later. That led to the final version of this room, the ultimate version of this room, which was a little bit cramped and, while it was super cozy, didn't leave a lot of room for activities. I did film a lot of videos in this room. The Caesar's Palace one, the Call of Duty on Wii one, tons and tons. But it was pretty evident that I was outgrowing it pretty quickly. Now this dedicated gaming area was just a small fraction under my stairs. I didn't want to make my entire house a dedicated gaming house, but I decided to say fuck it, and made my entire basement 100% virginity. This is the part of the video that isn't going to be scripted, can you tell? So I'm not going to be able to get into absolutely everything, obviously, because there's going to be certain things that we can't fit into a short video like this one, but I'm going to talk about as much as I can, pretty much show off as much as I can, all the consoles, games, etc. But before I do any of this, a lot of people have asked me about that and I want to talk about it. Excuse the clutter for this area, this is my workstation, but it's also my gaming station, see? So it ties into the video. I don't typically like buying pre-builts, but I kind of had to because of the great graphics card shortage of 2019, 2020, and 2021. So as a direct result, I had to buy a Skytech gaming rig. I got a very, very bare bones model with the intentions of upgrading it. The only thing that I've kept aside from the motherboard and the case is the graphics card. So it's currently rocking a Ryzen 9. It's got 48 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, I did say that correctly. 48 gigs of RAM. That is a very strange number, especially for RAM, but you can do it if you have a 16 gig stick and then you put in two more 16 gig sticks to make 32 gigs. I think actually there were two 8 sticks in here before. So in total it makes up 48 gigs of RAM. It's a very strange number, and no, you don't need that much if you're just doing basic gaming. You can get away with 16 or 32, but I'm a video editor, so I do need that much. The rest of my setup is actually kind of prone to change a little bit. This is all going to be swapped out within a couple weeks/months whenever I can get my hands on the new equipment, but I want to go with maybe like an all Razer setup or something, because I've gone with Logitech in the past. I'm currently using the Skytech crap, so I want to try something a little bit different. This is what I use to live stream as well. Here is my little live stream lamp. So I literally just put a ring light with a sock over it to diffuse it, and then I got a stream deck, which I have never used. But yeah, a lot of people have asked me about this, so I figured I might as well touch on it a little bit just to talk about it before getting into the sort of meat and the potatoes. Now we get to start off the tour sort of unofficially, because this isn't really part of the main collection. I just don't have anywhere else to put these. These are my PS1 Fat, my PS1 Classic, my two PS1 Slims, and a Genesis Model 2. I'm pretty sure I have another Slim and Fat over there, maybe? I don't know, I guess we'll find out. I just don't have anywhere else to put these, so I just stick these up here. So underneath that is what I like to call the obsolete media shelf, which has a bunch of old iPods, got a PSP, got some old phones in there. Just old stuff that I like to collect because it reminds me of the early 2000s and simpler, happier times. Underneath that, here's all my Pokemon shit that I just sort of stash over here. And then underneath here, we have my docking station, so that way I don't have to run like Tidal or Spotify or something while I'm editing. If I'm using up a bunch of RAM, I just listen to the music off here. And I've got a nice little air freshener candle wax melter thing, with all the scents being from the Floridian lobby, which smells like the Grand Floridian at Disney, which I stayed at a couple years ago for a job, and it smelled fantastic, so I really wanted to bring that experience home. We'll come to this, don't worry, I'm not going to keep blue balling you, but I did want to talk about Cammy. So this is Cammy. She is my Street Fighter 2 cabinet that I've fully restored myself. It's got some nice controls, and obviously it doesn't have a CRT, which is unfortunate, but hey, an LCD monitor won't die as quickly, and it's also nice and cheap and small, so I don't have to worry about adding an extra 30 pounds to a 500-pound cabinet. It's got a nice coin slot too, and yes, I do have a quarter, so you guys can hear this lovely noise. Alright, enough dicking around, let's get to the main event. My guitar, no. This is my game collection, so we'll start with the consoles. So, got a Master System, got two PS2 Slims, because if you know anything about the PS2 Slim, you know that these things are not reliable in the slightest. I had 3, one of them completely died on me, so I'm down to 2. I don't have a Fat yet. I do plan on getting one, I just don't have one yet. I got a Wii, I got an Atari 2600, this is the wood grain model. I also do have a Darth Vader model somewhere, I think it's in my bedroom. I have not touched an Atari console in such a long time. It just sits there as basically part of the history. Next up, the NES. This needs zero introduction. You all know what this console is. Next, another console that should need zero introduction. It's a little bit more obscure though. The Genesis was the console that had games like Sonic the Hedgehog, Golden Axe, etc. And then Super Nintendo. Again, I don't think that any of this top row needs any sort of introduction. Next up, we have the PS1. This is my OG from my childhood, and it still kind of works. The diode on it is very, very hit or miss. It'll read for about 20 minutes and then just cut out, so I hope you're not playing Metal Gear or something, because it just won't work. But yeah, no, it does still kind of work, so I keep it. I always play my PS1 games on a PS2 or 3, though. Next up is the N64. This is my least favorite Nintendo console, for reasons I'll get into in a later video, but it still works, it's fine. This is one of my 2. I also have a complete in-box one. Next to that is my Dreamcast, which is one of my favorite consoles of all time. I genuinely love the Dreamcast. It is such a lovely little machine. It was way ahead of its time, and then Sony killed it. So anyways, next up are my 3 GameCubes, along with a Switch Pro controller that's down there for no reason. Here is my Indigo Purple, then I got the black and the silver. These two both have a Game Boy Advance adapter, and yes, I do have the startup disc, so that means I can sell it and buy a yacht. Next to that is my original Xbox, which I actually pulled out of a dumpster, and that's actually completely true, by the way. The ribbon cable on this was broken, so I just grabbed one out of an old PC and fixed it. But yes, I pulled this out of a dumpster. A Game Gear, which I rescued from a basement, and this shitty little Guitar Hero carabiner that my girlfriend gave me. It doesn't work though, so I just sort of use it down here. It's just like a fun little thing that falls. And then I got my 2 360s. I got an arcade and I got an Elite, I think? I don't remember what the second round of 360 was called, but it's black and it's nice and it looks kind of like a VCR in a way. The arcade is my favorite design of the 360, but they barely work. This one does, but barely. And after all that, we come up here. So this is my game capture device. This is my AverMedia Game Capture HD2. I have used this for years. I would say probably well over 5 years at this point. It's got a nice little remote, and it's literally got a USB port in the front. You just stick in a flash drive or an external, or it's got a hard drive port underneath it. You can literally record gameplay onto hard drives for hundreds of hours of gaming without stopping. I've used this forever. It is very reliable, but it's a little bit too finicky for me to recommend it. I think you should still go with an Elgato or one of the AverMedia Live Gamer portables over this thing. But if you absolutely can't be anywhere near your PC while you're gaming, one of these should do the trick. Next to that is my Nintendo Switch dock. My Nintendo Switch is not here because I have a tendency of leaving it at my girlfriend's house 95% of the time. Here's a little HDMI splitter, which you need for consoles like the PS3 and 4, otherwise it doesn't really let you record them properly because HDCP. So next up is the Retron 5. This is the best worst console ever made, which is going to be the title of the video that this gets, because yes, it's getting its own dedicated video in the future. I'm still recording gameplay and writing the script and stuff, but yeah, this is honestly kind of amazing. I'm going to go into detail in the video that I make about it, but it really is the best worst console ever. First and foremost, this controller is... Okay, I do have to give Retron one thing. Retron has developed the worst controller that I've ever used in my entire life. That is impressive. I've used the Atari Jaguar controller, the original Intellivision controller, I've used all sorts of Pong consoles. All of those felt more comfortable than this. The sharp edge digs into your joints uncomfortably because it doesn't actually like meet where your finger actually is, because you're supposed to hit these little crappy little shoulder buttons with the edge of your finger, or the tip of your finger rather, not the edge. And this sort of makes you push them with your joint, which is super uncomfortable. Instead of having a D-pad, this blows my mind. They have a little micro switch joystick, which... The micro switches are okay, but they're too far apart, so there's way too much travel. It feels okay for Street Fighter, but if I'm going to be playing Street Fighter at home, I'm going to be playing on that. So, that's completely pointless. So, yeah, no, the face buttons suck. There is no A, B, 1, 2, it's just symbols. And the face buttons, these two are too close and these two are too far. Oh god, this controller is the most useless goddamn thing ever, and you need it in order to update the console, which updating the console is pointless anyways, because it barely adds support. Like I said, it's gonna have its own video. It works very well for recording gameplay though, because this is not a standard console with like FPGA cores and all that stuff. This is an emulation console. So you slap in a cartridge and it emulates it as if you're playing it on the PC, and because of that, you get crisp visuals, and that works really well, actually. So because of that, I still use this very comfortably and happily, but man, there's a lot of features on this that piss me off, and I'm going to be, like I said, making its own video about it, but no, I would not recommend buying a Retron 5. Let me just say that straight up, don't buy this. Next up, we got my launch PS4, which I've had for absolutely forever, with a hard drive plugged into it. What a surprise! It's almost as if Sony knowingly put out a console that doesn't have enough space. And then there's a Wii U right next to it, which is pretty much the only Nintendo console that I regularly keep plugged in. Obviously, I don't keep the Switch plugged in. Next to that is my backwards compatible fat PS3. Do you want me to prove it? do you like Pro Duo cards? Yeah, this is my fat PS3, and it is rocking all original parts. It's even rocking the original thermal paste, which is terrifying to think about. But yeah, this is how I record all my PS1, 2, and 3 footage. Of course, I need to use the stupid HDMI splitter because this thing has HDCP built into the port. But yeah, no, this is a great console. I would highly recommend picking one of these up. I would not recommend paying $250 for it though, which is what these seem to be going for nowadays. This is the 80GB model, which is the bigger one. But if you can find a 60 for cheap, just throw in like a 500 gig hard drive. Just trust me, it works. And these things are also very easy to mod. So yeah. I might make a video on that in the future, maybe, but for now, this is just the PlayStation console that plays everything up until PS4, and then this plays the PS4 games. If I get a PS5, it will replace that, and I will just keep this plugged in for PS1, 2, and 3. So this is my little display cabinet. These are my boxed trophies, as I call them. These are all the things that are either complete in box or new in box that I sort of am proud of. So obviously the 20th anniversary PS4 controller, that's not in the original box. I don't know where my actual box went for it, so I just stuck in a new one. I got a complete in-box Game GD for the Game Boy, a sealed copy of Myst for the PC, the Mario Game & Watch, GameStop Managers Meeting Nevada poker set. This is the weirdest goddamn thing ever. I found it at a local retro game store. My girlfriend got it for me because it's such a weird goddamn thing. It's literally just a poker set for with 3DS games on the chips. It's weird. And then I got a complete in-box Super Scope from my buddy Tim. Unfortunately, he passed away last year to cancer. But I always have this to look on and remember all the good times we had. He was very generous with giving me his Super Scope. He was gonna throw it out, and then he was like, you can take it, so thanks, Tim. I miss you, buddy. Below that, I have a complete in-box Mario Kart Wii Genesis cleaning system, a complete Wii and Wii remote. Make fun of me all you want, haters, but I still love the Wii. 3DS, Genesis controller, Game Boy camera, and 2DS. So yeah, I've got like a nice selection of complete in-box trophy pieces down here, as I call them. This is like my display of the room. And then we move up to here. I'm not going to be going through the games individually anymore because there are well over 650 of them on these shelves, and that would take all day long. So instead I'll just go over the just general genres. So up top we got Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color loose carts, which I do not collect anymore. I only collect the complete in-box ones. Hey, yeah. I really like seeing complete in-box Game Boy games, especially the Pokemon. Like the box for this is so pretty. I'm very, very proud of my complete in-box Game Boy collection, especially considering the fact that a lot of these are sought after. So I'm very, very happy that I have them on a shelf that can easily be stolen from drunk partygoers. I have a very small Vita collection, which I want to expand so badly. I love the Vita, but just finding Vita games in the wild is impossible, and finding them online is possible, but you're gonna overpay. Next is a bunch of DS games. The only real trophies I have for this are my Heart Gold and my complete in-box copy of Japanese Ultra Sun. This is a funny story. My girlfriend actually bought a Japanese 3DS that I modded for her to make it region-free, and this came with it. But if you've played this game, you know that it pretty much only runs in Japanese. I think you might be able to change the language at the very beginning, but you certainly can't after that. So she didn't really have any use for it, and I'm learning Japanese, so she gave it to me. But yeah, that's the one Japanese 3DS game I have, and all of my DSs are modded too, so I can still play that. Next is my PS1 collection, which is a lot fucking bigger than I thought it was. It takes up 2 full shelves, and then this and this. Like, I did not know I had this many PS1 games, and that kind of bothers me because I love the PS1, and I would have played all these if I knew that I had them. Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything really. Okay, so what is this? What is this? People have told me, like, I've had friends over, and they've looked at my shelves and been like, you have this? I'm not even gonna bother pronouncing it. You have this? It's so good, and I've never heard of it. Is this a good game? Like, I got it in a lot from one of my buddies, and like I don't know anything about it. Otherwise, I have Twisted Metal, Tomb Raider, Crash Spyro. All of those I know are great games, but like there's so many that I'm still discovering on the PS1, and it's so promising to me. Next, we have my very slowly growing Wii U collection. I love the Wii U. I hate the Wii U, but I love it at the same time. It is the definition of Stockholm Syndrome. It was such a bad console, but its library was so good. And it was fully backwards compatible with all the Wii games, it had all the virtual console games. Man, this was a great little console. But yeah, no, it's yeah. I would not recommend buying a Wii at this point in time. I have a couple sealed games, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that back. I did buy Shakedown Hawaii, which is the very last Wii U game that's ever gonna be made. I'm keeping it fucking sealed though, because you bet your ass I'm never opening that. I have it digitally on the Vita. I'm 100% not opening the Wii U version. It was made by the people that made Retro City Rampage, I believe, so it's a good time, but this is gonna be worth like $5 trillion one day. I'm never fucking opening it. But yeah, no, obviously there's a couple Wii U games I still need to get. Devil's Third is the obvious one. That's like the most infamous game on the Wii U. That goes for a lot. Star Fox Zero is going for a good amount nowadays. That I need to get. I have a complete in-box version of Twilight Princess HD. I made a video about that as well when the United States Postal Service fucked me over. And then obviously, Wii Sports Club. This is one of the rarest titles on the Wii U, and I do have one of these as well. It doesn't have the blue notch though, so fuck you. Next is the Nintendo Swash, or as I like to call it, the Nintendo Swish, or as it's actually called, the Nintendo Switch. So this is a pretty vanilla collection, honestly. I've got a couple limited run games like Blaster Master Zero. I picked up Scott Pilgrim. I've got a couple that are coming as well. I got the Castlevania collection coming, along with the racing game that they just released. I don't remember the name of it though. That one I got for the PS4. There's quite a few other limited run games I just bought that I do not remember the name of. But yeah, no, the Nintendo Switch is a great little console. I don't really get to play video games as often as I would like to, but when I do play video games, typically I am playing the Nintendo Switch. My favorite game on the Switch is probably fucking, I don't know. Next is the PS4 collection. Nothing here really sticks out in my opinion. I did recently pick up Mortal Kombat 11 because I was waiting for the Ultimate Edition. They always do this. They did it with Mortal Kombat X, they did XL, they did Mortal Kombat 9 Collectors or Ultimate Edition or whatever the fuck they called it. They always do that. They always release a version with all of the DLC. So it's like I always wait for that one. Also, there's space on the shelf for one more PS4 game, huh? That's actually pretty useful to know. But yeah, the only one that really sticks out here is Gravity Rush Remastered, because this is not a very common game. I have not played it, no, but I've heard good things. Next, we have this sort of weird complete in-box mishmash. We got Yoshi's Story Bomberman Hero, Mario 64. Thank you very much. Got Family Feud, Caesar's Palace on the Genesis. I've done a video on this. Dr. Mario on the NES, which is kind of ripped, but it's got also partly... It's partly sealed, which is weird. So, I don't know. I have a loose copy of Dr. Mario, so I don't even open that ever. I've got Pac-Man for the NES in a Tengen rental box, which is weird. That's definitely something I've never seen before, but it's not worth anything. A complete box version of Bases Loaded 3 and an upside-down copy of Mario 3, huh? How did I fuck that up? Jesus. Well... Next up is the SNES collection. I have never been big into the SNES. I always preferred the Genesis of this generation, but the SNES is still a good little collection, good little time. I have never played Aladdin, but this is probably the most recent game I picked up, and people told me it was very good, and I have not played it yet. But everything else here I've played, and then obviously Link to the Past to end it off. I have pretty much every single Zelda game, as you can see with my N64 collection. Do you like that transition? I do have Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. I had to make end labels though, because the N64 didn't have them. So I just had to make my own end labels, so that way I could actually tell what games are. I illustrated that very poorly by pulling out the one blue game in my collection. I obviously know it's Tony Hawk. And then, most excitingly, this is another thing I picked up. This is called a new 3D golf simulation for the Super Famicom. It was dirt cheap at a local retro game store. But yeah, I really wanted it. I was like, fuck it. I've never played a Japanese golf game before. Why not? It's probably not going to be anything different than a typical golf game, but yeah, I'm going to buy it. Alright, let's get to the big boy stuff now. The top is just my Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, SP, PSP, Nintendo DS, and my Mushroom. I did that all in one breath. I'm pretty proud of myself. Yeah, this is just all my handhelds that I can just display. The Game Boy Advance is modded to have a backlight, Cool, huh? I did a video on that as well, if you want to click the thing that keeps appearing. So these are all my PS2 games. The PS2 is the biggest collection that I currently own. I have just under 150 games, I believe. I know it doesn't look like it, but each of these stores 20. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, and then you have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I have 148 PlayStation 2 games. Yeah. This is a collection that I'm quite proud of. It's not big by any means. It's still less than a tenth of the North American library, I believe. But, hey, it's got some good quality titles. The PS2 is one of my favorite consoles. You obviously got all the Guitar Heroes. You got your Grand Theft Autos. You got your Ratchet and Clank, your Pac-Man World 2. You got all of the Star Wars games that came out for it, like Battlefront, Lego Star Wars. You got some okay Sonic games that came out for it. You got some great fucking times on the PlayStation 2. And then, obviously, one of my favorite games of all time, Thrillville Off the Rails, which the PS2 version is extremely solid. It's not the best version by any means, but it is more than playable, and it is a very, very good version. And it pisses me off to no extent that my PlayStation 2 collection is this big, yet my GameCube collection is tiny and it's worth more. God fucking damn it. The prices of GameCube games gotta stop going up. Here's my GameCube collection. It's literally just... But this costs more than all of this. I shit you not. That's how expensive GameCube games are. The Twilight Princess obviously is probably the best example, but I also have the collection, the promo edition collection thing. Those two games alone are like $300. Like, I shit you not. That's how much they go for nowadays. I've got other things like Kirby Air Ride, the Mega Man X collection, the Sonic Gems collection, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Melee. This fucking game. This isn't even the best Smash Brothers. Everyone just pretends it is. But yeah, this like one little like joint of a section is worth more than the entire 2 shelves. I don't collect for value. That's one thing that people have always asked me. I don't care what the value is. If I can find enjoyment out of it, that's why I have it. And that's why I still have games like Tiger Woods 03 displayed for the GameCube. I know it's not worth anything, but god damn it, it's funny, and I like golf games. The only game on the GameCube that's really unique that I like to talk about is the this one. This is the preview disc for the GameCube, which came with demos of Billy Hatcher, Sonic Adventure DX, Splinter Cell, Beautiful Joe, and Soul Calibur 2. Yeah, that's basically it, and it came with a bunch of trailers, but it's just really cool and unique to look at, so that I like a lot. Next up, we move to the PlayStation 3, or as our boy Chad Warren once said, the PS Triple. How is he? Is he still alive? I hope so. He was very funny. Anyways, this is also known as the Call of Duty machine, because Jesus fucking Christ, this isn't even all of them, by the way. Yeah, the PS3 was a solid little console for the time, and it has 4 different spines. I shit you not. Look. 4 different spines. That annoys me as a game collector, because like this looks so much like a PS4 spine, and I think that's the reason that they did it. But then they went back to the black after. Oh god, I hate it. But it's still a nice little console to collect for. I've never played Skyrim. Next up is the original Xbox collection. This is not very big. It's only like that one little section plus down here. I do have to say that the player's choice being white instead of black looks very nice. I don't like the silver cases though. I think that looks like cheap gray as opposed to nice silver. But yeah, the original Xbox collection's cool. And then we move on to the 360, which is a slowly budding collection. I'm not in any rush to collect 360 games, because I just prefer the PS3, honestly. But the 360 was very solid. It has the best version of Thrillville Off the Rails, aside from the Steam port. So yeah, if you haven't played Thrillville yet, get on it. And then finally, we move on to the Wii, which is my second biggest collection, I think. It even extends down to there. But a lot of this is shovelware, so I don't really have tons of great titles over here, unfortunately. It's just so easy to grab Wii shovelware. But yeah, no, I've got some good Wii titles. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Rhythm Heaven. If you guys haven't played this, please get yourselves a copy. It is so much fucking fun. It is so much fucking fun. The Wii was also home to your fair share of motion-controlled garbage, which is why you got games like this. But also, the worst version of Thrillville. It's still playable and all that, and you can still have a good time with this, but god, the PS2 version is so much better. My favorite Wii title, though, is Wii Sports, because it's everyone's introduction to the Wii. Everyone loved Wii Sports. This is the Nintendo Selects box. I wanted a complete in-box copy of Wii Sports as opposed to the little crappy pamphlets. So yeah, no, I'm very, very pleased with that. Wii Sports Resort is a very close second. But yeah, then we just sort of move on to my miscellaneous. I got a couple box Genesis games, some PC-ROM big boxes, some Sims games. Can you tell that I'm a Sims fan? I have my entire Xbox One collection, which is Rocksmith Remastered. I don't own an Xbox One. I bought this for the cable, but I just figured I'd keep it on the shelf for shits and giggles. And then we just have a couple of PSP games, including, have you noticed a theme? This is actually a pretty decent version. And then my Atari 2600 games, which is like, yeah, you know, whatever. Oh, duh, the NES games. NES Tower. This was the first console that I've ever played. So obviously I have a special place in my heart for it, which is why it has its own tower as opposed to just sticking it on the shelves like everything else. There's nothing here that's really too special though, because pretty much 100% of this has been released on NES Online on the Switch, so yeah. But hey, you know, it's fun, and that just basically sums up the whole hobby. It is very fun, which is why I like to collect video games, and yeah. And that's it. Sorry this video took so long to put out. Obviously, as you can tell by the duration, this has been a long time coming. This has been kind of a big project that I've been trying not to put off too much, but it's been kind of daunting for me. So I'm glad that it's finally out in a state that I'm satisfied with. I've tried to do this a couple other times, and I've ended up just canning it and getting rid of the footage just because I wasn't happy with it. But today is the day that I'm satisfied with what I've put out. So I hope you guys are too. I hope you enjoyed this little game room tour, and yeah, I'll definitely see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm so sorry about the wait. Peace out, and take care.